All right, we can get started. Hello and thank you for joining today. We do have a lot to cover in a short period of amount of time today. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm John with IQ Reseller. We are an ERP system that is designed to help users like yourself on this call today help track and manage your IT assets. I've asked Patrick and Joe to present today's webinar regarding the digital product passport, which is a requirement that will be going live in Europe relatively soon. It's an important topic that I think that needs to have an awareness brought to it, as it will change how companies do business within Europe currently and how companies are looking to do business within Europe as well too. There's a lot of intertrade between North America and Europe, and there's a big effect that will come from this. It's likely it's going to trickle to North America, and we're already seeing such projects take lead, such as with Obata, which is like a Carfax report of an IT asset. Patrick is with We Enable IT Consulting, who is an industry expert in helping to lead the way on this initiative. And Joe is from the ASCDI, which is a nonprofit organization helping to promote good ethics within our space, as well as to promote these new regulations starting to come online. They're taking part in several pilot programs within Europe, and I've asked Joe to be on this call as well too, to help chime in on the importance of this topic and how it will affect companies here in the States or North America do business. We are going to be recording this webinar, which we will share out afterwards, and ask if you have any questions to please put it in the chat, and I will moderate the chat at the end if there are any questions. So we do have a lot to cover here. Patrick and Joe, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, John. Joe. My name is Patrick, and I want to tell you a little bit today about the digital product passport in special, which will come in Europe if you want to sell your items in the future on European markets. But I have also some slides about general EPR, extended producer responsibility requirements you already have to fulfill today if you want to sell to different European countries. So if we look on the next page, you see that at the beginning, I will give you a little overview over the landscape of legal EPR requirements, very high level, to understand some of these major requirements you have when you sell in European countries. And then we will go deeper into the digital product passport in the second, third, and fourth chapter. So we will have a look on the background, the goals which the EU politics have with this digital product passport and the circular economy rules in general. And then we will deeper look into the requirements which we already know today by this new law, the so-called EU Ecodesign Regulation. And very important is at the end to understand that this, not the last step is done now. There will follow steps so that you better understand what's happening next, where you can learn something on it, where you can have your ear in the next month and years. Before we start with that, just to show you why I'm telling something about this topic to you, I'm Patrick from Germany. I'm sitting here in the Ruhrgebiet in Western Germany. I'm an expert for extended producer responsibility, so product compliance. If you put an item, especially electronic goods with its batteries and packaging, to the European market, I know the different rules in the different countries. But my longer background within the last 20 years is that I was a manager in different German retailers and moderating between the business requirements on the one hand side and IT-based data processes on the other hand side. So moderator between IT and business requirements. And I do this today in my own business. We enable IT consulting. We try to not only explain the requirements to customers who sell on European markets, but to go also the next step, to help them doing registrations, to help them doing their reportings on their EPR requirements, helping them to maintain, to manage their data, their item data about sustainability, etc. So this is what we are doing. and what's my, let's say, background is on this topic. And the digital product passport, which we talk today, is a very, very good example for that, because there the digitalization on the one hand side with a technical digital product passport, and on the other hand side, rules, compliance, laws. So in this case, the business requirement comes together. Yeah, that's why I like to talk about such a topic like the DPP. So let's come to the general obligations in Europe regarding EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility. You don't have to learn this chart. I only want to mention two things here and to give you 2 points on this slide. One is we have in Europe let's say a strategic level in the European policy. So every 27 EU countries come together and make plans, strategies on things. And if we look on circular economy, on environmental policy, we have the European Green Deal from 2019 and the Circular Economy Action Plan from 2020. So these are the main environmental strategies influencing eco-design, influencing eco-contributions, product compliance. But we have also in other policies aspects of this. We have the industry strategy. We have from the customer side coming an EU campaign, Right to Repair, which is very important for the refurbished sector. But this is the political level, so that's not a law. Yeah. So the next level in Europe to understand is the law level, and European laws are so-called directives on the one hand side, and regulations on the other hand side. And if you have directives, we have many directives in Europe. If you have a directive, every country needs then a national implementation of this directive in a national law. For example, you bring an electrical appliance to the market, then the WEEE directive for electronic waste is important, but also the packaging and the battery directive. But you have to look into 27 national laws to really understand what you have to do, what requirements you have on national level. So for example, the Elektrogesetz in Germany, but you have them in France, etc., etc. So in total, you have to know, in this case, not 27, not 3 laws, but 27 times 3 laws, so up to 81 national regulations. And then we have now the so-called regulations in Europe, and more we have regulations and not directives. And the advantage is that the regulation is directly on national level applicable. So you don't need national laws. So today we will talk later on about the Ecodesign Regulation with the DPP. So this is a law which is directly which directly affects all 27 countries without national additional laws. So this is how it looks like in Europe in a general way. But let's come to concrete requirements you have. You have today 3 main requirements in the EPR, the Extended Producer Responsibility sector. You have registration obligations. What does this mean? That means if you want to sell your items to a European market, you need to be registered in this European market in the so-called EPR registers. Frequent mistakes we see within our client talks is that sellers are not registered in all their sales countries. They think, oh, I'm registered in one of the 27 European countries. That's okay. I can also sell now in another country there. That's not the case. Even if it's one big market regarding EPR, you find today, 27 local markets, I can say. And the other hand, on the other hand side, another mistake is you think you are selling electronic appliances. Yes, that's right. But you need also, in many cases, take a tablet as an example with a battery in it, a built-in battery. You need also a battery registration, and you have for sure packaging outside of this item. So you need a packaging registration. So 3 registrations if you sell one item. This is the first obligation to be registered in the countries if you sell to end consumers there. Second main obligation is when you are registered, you have to frequently report the amounts, the quantities you bring on that local market to the registers or to the take-back systems you have chosen in that country to be registered, to authorized representatives, etc. These reports must be done regularly, some on a monthly basis, some half-yearly, most of them yearly. And frequent mistakes here are that you use wrong categories of items, or you forget to report in a month where you maybe don't have any sale to a country. In that case, you have to make 0 declarations. So these are frequent mistakes we find when we check customers. And third one is a little bit more complex. You have also labeling and information obligations. For example, you have to inform on your sales platforms, in your web shops about your EPR, so your registration numbers, which you get here from the registration. You have to inform about eco contributions in some countries. So when you invoice a customer, you have to mention the part of the price, which is the eco contribution you pay to the eco, or let's say to the waste system in that country. So there are different information and labeling obligations to fulfill. So this is in general the main obligations, and really my recommendation is check first if you have done your registrations, because the rest is following. If you did your registrations, you will be asked to make your reports, etc., etc. So just on one slide, really important is, even if there is one market, one European market, there is no, let's say, pan-European registration for EPR. You have to register in each single European country for each legal area, packaging, and batteries. So for example, if you're already granted in Germany, that does not allow you to sell in France. This is, I think, already an information which many companies do not have for the moment.
Patrick, just a question. How do you define an extended producer? Who does that apply to?
Yeah, that's an easy question, sometimes a complex answer. From a legal perspective, this is the company which is bringing an item first to a real concrete item, physical item, to a country and sell it to an end consumer. So if you're Sony and you bring from let's say from Poland items to Germany, but you are Sony in Poland, and you bring it directly via a web shop to the German market, then you are the you bring it on the market. You are the manufacturer or the producer in the sense of the law. If you sell it to a retailer in Germany, and this retailer brings it to the end consumer, this retailer is the first company who brings it to the German market to end consumer. So it differs from situation to situation. It can be the producer, it can be the retailer, the importer. So it's a little bit different. Yeah. This is, for example, in our checks, this is one of the first questions. We look on the items they sell, but for sure we look on how they sell. Yeah, who is the customer, and what are the type of contracts, etc. Where is the company sitting? So it's not a so easy question. Okay, good. So in which countries do you need this EPR numbers? So this just the same from another perspective, frequently asked questions. It's mostly in all 27 countries you need EPR registrations. Sometimes you have in some of the areas, if you are very small, some countries have something like a minimum amount, and if you're under that, then it's fine. But really keep in mind as a first number, all countries. Second, how long does it take to get these numbers? In some cases, it's an online process to get to do the registration at the authorities, and you will directly get your EPR number. In other cases, it takes some days or weeks, and there are some countries in Europe where you really need 3 months to get this number back, and have to wait for it. The costs also differs from country to country. Let's say the minimum cost, if you have small amounts, starts with €100, $100 per country per year, so it's cheap. In other cases, in other countries, if you have packaging, and batteries, you are at minimum €1,000. So it differs between these ranges, I would say. And for sure, you have workload with this EPR registrations, especially the beginning. The registration take time. You have to register, you have to find take-back systems, maybe an authorized representative, you have to sign contracts, etc. This is something where we can help, for example, with our quick registration support, where we do all this together with you. But you can do it also on your own if you have time there. And after that, you have you need time, you have a workload in the moment where you have to make the reports. So especially at the beginning of a year, there is a little bit workload to do. And what happens if you don't have these numbers? Sometimes today nothing happens, especially the governments don't check it in 100% of the cases, but we have more and more competitors, environmental organizations or others checking if companies are really registered. And the biggest effect of the last years is that some national governments and also the EU now is making marketplaces responsible of this check. So if you want to sell, for example, via Amazon, via eBay, on the German, on the French market, the marketplaces will ask you for your EPR numbers. And if you don't have these numbers, they will take your offers out of this national markets. So more and more this will come, that you really you have to do it, but you really need these numbers at the end of the day. Yeah, that's a little bit the background of circular economy in Europe, and especially EPR obligations in Europe if you want to sell. But now I want to come to the main point, which is also, let's say, an EPR requirement of the future, which is the digital product passport, which will become mandatory in Europe for many items within the next years. So to better understand the idea of the digital product passport for sustainable products and the circular economy, the circular economy policy, you have to understand this background. Since several years, there is the goal, the political goal of the EU to reduce waste, to save natural resources, to increase reuse of products as long as possible, to support repair, refurbish, and recycling, and in general to respect this waste hierarchy. And waste hierarchy means first is waste prevention. Every waste which is never produced is the best. Then the second is prepare for reuse. So give the item a longer life cycle or life at the beginning with the first user, but also with the second user. So it's all about the refurbishment market, the second market, for example. And then we have the recycling. So use recycled things, recycled parts, spare parts in an item component in an item, and on the other hand side, make the product in the way that parts of the product can again be recycled. Yeah, these are the main things which you also find in this eco-design regulation, which we will see in a minute. So this is the general approach, and this was, yeah, that's the idea when the DPP and the ESPR, so the Eco-Design for Sustainable Products Regulation, came into the game. So as I said at the beginning, you have the strategic level, the political level, the European Green Deal and the action plan already mentioned to change eco-design and to have something like a DPP to make it transparent in the future. And within this new regulation now, we will find the details of eco-design criteria and of the DPP. This was the timeline. So at the moment we are here, we have a law which was agreed between 27 countries, between the EU Commission, the Parliament. This people can think this is simple, but it was a process of 2 years. Yeah, but now the law since May is there, and formally, I think in these days it will be formally. Yeah, it's official. Let's say it like this. And the main goals of this eco-design regulation, I want to read these words. I will say why after that. So it's about increasing durability, reliability, reusability, updatability, repairability, easier maintenance, refurbishment, and recycling. Why do I mention, or why do I really say these words to you? Because within these words, you don't only find the targets of the eco-design regulation. This is the basis for the future characteristics, item characteristics, which are important when you create and sell new items in the future. So within the word let's take updatability, for example, for software. In this word, you find what will be a future item foundation data. It's describing in a good, true, and comparable way the updatability of your product. And same for the others. We will see later on, we will see examples. But in these words, you really find the basis of this future item criteria, which we will find in the mandatory DPPs in 27.
Hey, but Patrick, the updatability, that's a really a drastic change. I mean, manufacturers for many, many years have been using updatability, software, microcode availability to restrict the resale of their products. And so resellers like the folks on the call today have not been able to refurbish and resell their products because they can't get access to the microcode. That's the updatability that now this new regulation is going to hopefully eliminate.
Yeah. So let's take this example of updatability in mind, and then we will see on the next slides what does this really mean from a laws and the DPP's perspective. So, but just some words that you better understand the Eco-Design for Sustainable Products regulation. So for sure, this regulation is about eco-design. So you will find eco-design requirements in this regulation, but you will also find performance requirements, for better usage of an item. You find information and labeling requirements, and here you have mainly the DPP part. So it's not only about having eco-design in my product, it's about informing about these characteristics to the people. But there are also sites. It's not a sidekick. It's really more. There's also a part ban of destruction of new items. In 27, it will start in Europe that big fashion retailers are not allowed to put new unsold products to waste. So these are. So you see this regulation is more than DPP. But what is a DPP? We haven't talked about this. We have more than 200, I think it was counted, more than 200 initiatives on DPP worldwide. DPP is not a copyright. There's no copyright for DPP. So today we talk about the DPP as a rule, as a mandatory thing in a European regulation. Now, this is the starting point. So the DPP for this legal requirement, but maybe at the end it's more, yeah, because it will give standards, hopefully to the world and not only to Europe. Let's see. But if we look on this definition from this law's perspective, we have the so-called CIRPAS project. We will see this later on today. The CIRPAS project is the main project financed 100% by the EU Commission to provide, there are experts from different sides. We have Joe here, he will be part of this, or he's part of the CIRPAS project with Obada. So in this project, we have IT experts, we have sustainability experts, we have associations in it, we have companies in it, and they have to provide to the EU government pilots of DPP, etc., etc. So they will do work which will be then used within the legislations. And they say a digital product passport for sustainable products is a structured collection of product-related data. I think so far clear, but with a predefined scope. So it's not about everything. This DPP starts with data on sustainable products, mandatorily, with data on sustainability criteria. Sorry, not about all criteria. It's about data ownership. So who owns data is very important. Access rights will be very important. Who can read, who can write things there. A digital product passport will not only be a one-time passport. Over the whole life cycle, there can be changes in the DPP. There will be done a repair, or a battery will be changed. Things like that should be documented in the DPP. So it's about access rights. Who can read what, who can write what, or overwrite what in the DPP. It's about how to identify a unique item, to link the DPP with a physical good. And here again, the limitation at the beginning, it will be about information related to sustainability, circularity, etc. There could be much more in the DPP, but this could be a second, a third, a fourth step afterwards. The focus of this law is sustainable data.
And Patrick, I just want to add one thing. The DPP, it's really all about being transparent. If a second user wants to look at a product and they want to see when the product entered the market, when the product was refurbished, when the battery, when the memory was added, he can look at the history of the product, and then he can make an informed decision. All right, I'm looking at a new product, I'm looking at a used product, I'm looking at the carbon footprint of each one, and I can decide which one I want to buy. So you have an informed buyer by using the digital product passport. So it's really about being transparent to the second user.
Yeah, exactly. So it's two things. Let's start with the second part of this page here. One thing is, for a new product, to bring a customer in the situation that he can take a sustainable decision what item he will buy. Yeah, so there will be this transparent DPP data, but in addition, the EU Commission was asked to prepare a portal to compare at the end items, that really a customer can have a look. Okay, hairdryer 1, 2, 3, 4. I see them one next to the other on this governmental page. Yeah, and then I have a clear view on how sustainable this product is compared to others. Yeah, for sure we cannot compare a hairdryer with a car. Yeah, it should be two things of the same category. Yeah, otherwise it will not make sense. And this will be the tricky thing at the end, to find sustainable criteria per product group. It doesn't make sense to compare. In Germany we say apples with is it pines, Birnen? I don't know.
We
You know
say
what I
apples
mean,
and
yeah?
apples and
Apples with
oranges here
oranges,
in
we
the
can
States.
say, yeah. So this is very important because at the end it's about transparency and people have to trust it, yeah. And the second is what Joe is mentioning. Also, the secondary market, the refurbished market, for the refurbished market, DPP for the whole life cycle will help to bring transparency into these items. If you buy today a laptop, a refurbished laptop, it's very difficult to understand what quality you buy at that moment. Yeah. And the DPP will make it more transparent. But let's come back to one point here. For whom this is important. This regulation, this is from the regulation itself. This regulation shall apply for any physical good that is placed on the market. So I will add here for the US colleagues, the European market, yeah, including components and intermediate products. Yeah? So yes, there will be some exceptions, military things, medicine things, food, yeah. But in general, you will be concerned if you want to sell a product in Europe. And you see here also the focus at the beginning. The focus will be, because it's directly mentioned in the regulation as the first product group, batteries, iron and steel, textiles, footwear. This will be the first product groups, but also already mentioned are things like toys, like and electronic equipment, which is maybe very important in this group here where we talk today. So this is very important to understand. I have two more slides to show a little bit deeper what means, what characteristics are important tomorrow. The Ecodesign Regulation is a framework regulation. You will not find in this regulation what are the 80 characteristics for a hairdryer. Yeah? But what you can see are this general aspects, product aspects, which are mentioned in the Article 5. And we find again these words of durability, reusability, upgradability. But this is still not an item characteristic. We cannot say my item is repairable. Yes, no. It would be too easy to. That's not a good answer. This would not help the people. Same for durability. My item is durable. Yeah, that doesn't give you any information. So we have to look a little bit deeper. Yeah. Before we do this, just one sentence here. Eco-design requirements should prevent premature obsolescence is new in the regulation. Yeah, wasn't in the first version, is now in the last version. Yeah, this is about software which is not given after XY years. This is about parts, spare parts, components which broke after 3 years. Yeah, in any case. Yeah, so these things will be prevented by law. Yeah, but let's come back to these characteristics. Repairability, what does this mean? This is a framework regulation. It doesn't tell it in detail, but it gives us ideas. Yeah, for example, easy repair and maintenance means characteristics, availability, delivery time, and price of spare parts. These will be your item, is then the future item data. That you say, my item has spare parts, yes. This 5 spare parts. These spare parts are available for 5 years. The delivery time is maximum 4 weeks. And the price of this spare part is 2 euros. The total price of a new item is 20 euros. Yeah, this relation is important if you want to decide if you want to repair something. If it costs the same price to repair something, then buying it new, the people will buy it new. Yeah. So these are item characteristics which you need in the future. Let's take a second example for easy repair. Yeah. Do I need, let's go here. Do I need special tools? Yeah. Can I use a normal tool, a DIY tool bought in a department store, or do I need a special tool from this supplier? Yeah. this answer would help you to better understand if your item is in a good way repairable or not. Durability, reliability, the same, is not a characteristic, but saying my product's guaranteed lifetime is 3 years, or the technical lifetime is 4 years, or my smartphone can fall down 10 times before it breaks. These are clear characteristics to define reliability. But what does this mean for every product group? This is the work to be done within the next year's product group per product group. So I don't have the answer today to tell you for your product group A, B, C, this will be the criteria. This will be the next step to be defined. And first, and this is what we see here, first it will be defined for batteries, textiles, and steel, but very soon also for the other product groups, which we have seen some slides before, like electronic appliances. Because this is the timeline, we have now the official law. Next, the EU Commission has to draw a concrete working plan. Latest in April 25, it should be public. And in this working plan, you will see again the detailed plans for the first, let's say, 5 to 10 product groups. And you will have see a detailed plan for technical aspects of the DPP. For this and for all this, I already mentioned the Surpass project. I have the link here. You can click on it and you will see all the results. It's all official. It's all public from the Surpass project. And I also linked for you here the battery pass. Why? Because this is the initiative working on the battery passport. The battery passport is the one who will be the first, so the pilot in 27, the first official product group where mandatory DPP is required to put an item on the market. So and there you find also many aspects on a horizontal level, yeah, for items. And in the Surpass project, we will find, or there in the next months, we will find pilots. One of the pilots will be the Obada pilot, and Joe hopefully has 2 minutes when I'm finished, or 5 minutes, to show or to tell a little bit about this pilot. Obada is leading in the Surpass project, but there will be 18 lighthouse projects, 18 pilot projects, and the whole project is about giving advice to the EU government, EU Commission, about the technical aspects and also the product aspects for the first product categories. And all this will then become part of laws, of so-called delegated acts on EU level in 25 for the first, end of 25 for the first product groups, which will go live then in 27. So then people will have about 2 years to prepare that. And that's not a long time if we talk about IT projects. And here we talk about changing my eco-design, changing my how I buy products and components, how I get information about these products and components. So this is, for some people, this seems to be far away, yeah, but it's not far away. Yeah? This is my message here. And yeah, for sure, what you can do, as I said, I don't have the list for you. These are the item characteristics for your product group, yeah, but it's not so far away for you to find it out, because you know your items, yeah. You know maybe what an environmental label asks you if you want to get it, yeah. You know what competitors are doing. You know what your customers wish. So it's not so difficult work to find, let's say, 90% of the characteristics which should be important in the future for your eco-design if you look on this general criteria which you saw some slides before. So find out what you have as requirements for your items in the future. Have a look what data you already have. And then you will know what is the missing data, and then start to get this missing data. And how do you do it? You have to change processes, how you talk to suppliers, how to talk to your buyers, for example. You have to change your IT. You need a place for this data, yeah, before you can put it to a DPP later on. You have to maintain, to quality ensure, to generate the data if you are a manufacturer in your system normally. And at the end, yeah, it's about data requirements, which you have to identify. And this work should not wait until 27, or if maybe your product group is then 29. It will all be within the next 5 to 10 years. So really, yeah, keep started with this DPP work. And just one slide, you can use it when you talk to colleagues. These are concrete examples of item data which is already needed for example, here, repairability index in France. For some items, it is mandatory to have a repairability index in France. Yeah? There you have already to give availability of spare parts in years, etc. You have in some for some eco contributions, you have to mention which type of plastics you have in an item. So these are concrete examples, but you will find many more if you look deeper into your items. And you are the specialist for your items, the expert for your items. This just gives you an idea of how it can look like at the end, what means eco-design criteria and DPP data in the future. Yeah, so conclusion from my side is, already today, you've seen it at the beginning, you have EPR obligations where you have to comply with if you want to sell in Europe, yes, but it will become more with the Ecodesign Regulation, the DPP, and the DPP will, from my perspective, become a game changer for new items, but especially also for the refurbished sector. And I will just have a look. Oh, it was too long, I'm sorry. But I tried it in 30 minutes. Hopefully that was not too long. And you learned a little bit about this European EPR obligations, and especially about this new topic of DPP. And I hand over to Joe, maybe to say some words, how you as an international organization, you are part of this European project, yeah, and why it's also from your perspective so important. Yeah.
Sure. I'm Joe Marion, ASCDI. ASCDI is the ITAD organization, Information Technology Asset Disposition Companies. And a lot of the folks on the call today are ITAD companies. So and Patrick, thank you. That was a great presentation. This might tie it a bow around it a little bit to bring it back to the ITAD industry a little bit. But ASCDI got involved with the digital product passport many years ago. It started with a project in Sweden called Keep Electronics, and then as Patrick says, it was handed over to Surpass, and ASCDI got involved in representing the secondary market in technology equipment. Why? Because the IT resale market is an international market. This isn't just a European issue. These products move across borders, they move all around the world. And we felt that the resellers needed to be represented and international resellers needed to be represented. When we first got involved with this digital product passport project, a lot of the focus was on manufacturers. I think the EU thought, everything starts and ends with the manufacturers. And we said, wait a minute, guys, there's a whole secondary market. There's a whole industry out there of companies that resell products, and especially IT products. And so we got involved to make sure that the IT industry, the IT resale industry, was represented with the digital product passport. So we got involved with Keep a few years ago. We were appointed by Surpass. I'm really proud of that. One of the few U.S. organizations, one of the only IT organizations involved. But we also got involved in the U.S. with a project called Obata. Okay, what's Obata? If you picture a Carfax, Obata is building a Carfax for IT equipment that you resell. As you know, with Carfax, for example, you want to buy a used car, you go online and you can see, was the car in an accident? Was it painted? Was it refurbished? When was it first put on the market? When was it resold? You see all these data points about the car. That's what Obata is going to be doing. And so Obata is building picture a serial number on a product. Obata is coming up with a unique serial number that will identify every electronic part that we're reselling. And then you can see the history of the part. And it'll be a unique part. The other thing is that, in our industry, there's silos of information. You have the manufacturer who puts the equipment on the market. You have the refurbisher. You have the reseller, and eventually you have the recycler. Everybody has their own silo of information. Well, we need to share that information with the eventual end users, and that's what the whole digital product is all about: sharing this information. So using the Obata standard, and by the way, Obata is up before ISO to get this classified as a standard. But using the Obata standard, you can take these serial numbers and take the silo of information, and the refurber can put what information he wants into the digital product passport, and the reseller can put into digital product passport, and so forth, so that the user can see what the history of the product is. Now, to kind of tie a big bow around it all, is IQ Reseller. IQ Reseller is an ERP system, and when the digital product passport comes out for electronic goods, I'm sure IQ Reseller is going to tie that back in, so that all that information, when you resell the product, that information will be written into the using the Obata standard into the blockchain, is what Obata standard is going to be using, and then go on to the digital product passport. All this thing will be seamless using ERP systems like IQ Reseller. One last thing, we talked about, the reuse of product, and as I said earlier on today, manufacturers, have typically used the availability of parts, the availability of software to restrain, if you will, the resale of products. Well, there are a couple of really good organizations. There's Free ITC in Europe, for example, that's fighting for the right to repair, making sure that manufacturers will provide the parts and the tools and the diagnostics to refurbish and resell equipment. And then there's Free ITC, which is in Europe and the US, doing the similar thing, fighting for the right to repair. All these things are tied together. Last thing I'm going to say, I look at this as a real opportunity. The digital product passport is going to open up a lot of services to enterprises, services that you guys can provide. And as Patrick said, we're a couple of years away from the implementation, but it's going to take that long to put the right systems in place so that you can service your enterprises. Pretty soon you're going to find that the enterprises you're doing business with are not going to want to do business with you if you're not an ITID, if you're not dealing sustainable, and you're not writing your equipment into a digital product passport. So your customers are going to require you to do this. You can get ahead of the curve by getting involved with it right now. If you contact Patrick, myself, or John, we'll give you more information. Thanks very much, guys.
Joe and Patrick, thank you for that. That was very informational. There was a lot of information that was thrown out there. We can open up to some Q&A right now. If you can put your questions in the chat. I will send out this recording to not only who attended but registered for this as well too, and then look it out on all the social media platforms out there as well too, because this is something that all of us within this industry need to start to get ahead of. And the three of us on this call today are trying to promote to help you get ahead of it. Just like Joe said, these are going to be requirements that are common. It's already becoming requirements. Like I remember 15 years ago when I first started in the ITAD industry, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies, they didn't really care about certifications. They didn't really care. It was kind of the Wild Wild West. Well, now they do. Now you have to be R2, you have to be ISO, you have to have certain regulations, and they bring in their own security consultants to audit you to make sure that you are doing what you're doing. And this is going to be the next level of that as well too, to really, as Joe said, tie that bow around it all. And it will become a seamless process. And this is something that is coming. It's not what if, it's when this is coming. And as Patrick said, the first version of this is in 2027, and it's only going to probably accelerate from there.
Yep. And just to add that too, just to be clear, as I said before, it's international. So yes, it's Europe's leading the charge, and thank Europe for that. Helping to save our planet. But California is going to do it next, and New York, and then the rest of the United States. So it's going to be the world very, very quickly.
It's also going to bring transparency too, as well, to where is you're going to know exactly what you're getting to where you're not relying on someone's faith of word no more, to where it's true transparency too. It's going to bring so it's really going to bring a lot of good to this particular market with it. But we have gone over, but there was so much good information. I do want to say hats off to Patrick and Joe for presenting today. I don't see any questions. So at this point, I think we'll conclude the webinar. And again, thank you guys for presenting.
Thank you, John, for shining a light on this. It's a really important subject. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John, for inviting me. That was a very good webinar together.
Right. So, all right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.